Test, test. Okay. Oh, yeah. Man, there she goes. Not going to start early. I'll do. Still 5:59. There we go. 6 o'clock. I want to welcome everyone and call the Public Health and Safety meeting to order. We have one agenda item. I'll entertain a motion for approval of the agenda. Okay, motion and a second. Any? There we go. John, yeah, we might have to be done. Couldn't get a second. Okay. Motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Okay, motion carried. We have the agenda item for a fireworks request at 170 North Harmon Drive for a wedding. Anything from public safety or the insurance people on this?
Okay, I can just let you know that I visited with the South Dakota Public Assurance Alliance today, and they strongly recommend that the city has all people that we're giving a permit to for this type of an activity to add the city as an additional insured on their insurance. It is not an absolute requirement, but it's strongly recommended by risk management.
Okay, thank you. Didn't we do one of these in the past? I think since I've been on, there have been some other private fireworks things at the lake that have been requested. Anybody have that? Maybe they were noise requests and not fireworks. That or New Year's. Okay. Any other input? Bruce, I see you're here. Would you like to make a comment? Yeah. Introduce yourself and let us know.
Sure. Good evening. My name is Bruce Yakeley. I live on Lake Mitchell at 170 North Harmon. I've put in a application for fireworks permit. My plan, it's a detailed plan I submitted, does meet the National Fire Protection Association's standards 1123 and 1126. So as I was going through the process, and I laid out on a survey plot exactly how I was going to do it with a process that met the code. So I went to get the city of Mitchell on my homeowner's policy, and I'm working with Fisher Rounds, and that's not allowed. They told me that there's no company that they work with for homeowners insurance that will allow anybody else to be on that policy for one day. Actually, I want 15 minutes. So I have a $5 million personal liability policy. And I went to that company, and the same thing. They will not put the city of Mitchell or anybody else on that policy for one day. I did find a company, insurance company, that does provide insurance where the city could be named on the policy. I was the first, let's say, resident, non-professional that's ever approached them for insurance. So if I wanted to set off one firecracker, it's $1,800 for the insurance. And this application is, in my opinion, is geared toward professional displays. And obviously, if it's on city property, you want to have liability insurance, and I understand that. You know, the 4th of July is a good example. DW just had a football game and had a fantastic display. That's where I see this application really applies. The city allows fireworks to be set off on the 4th of July. without a permit, without a safety plan, and without insurance. And there's multiple people that live on the lake that do this on the 4th of July. You know, it seems like it's a double standard from my point of view. I've provided, in my application, there's 8 mortars I'm going to set off. Should take 10 to 15 minutes. I've done this before, so I have a device built that, you know, I can angle it. So if there's wind conditions, I did highlight that if the wind's over 10 miles an hour, I wouldn't do it. If there's boats in the area, I won't do it. So I'm respectfully asking that you approve my request and then consider in the future, and I know it's extremely low priority, that a resident and a professional display are 2 different things. I do have 2 liability policies, and there is one minor item I discovered today. I'm only covered to $800,000, so I'm getting an additional $500,000, which I'll have by Friday, for $15 for the year. So it's $15 or $1,800 for $475 of fireworks. You know, I understand safety. I run 3 plants. They're very dangerous. When I mow my lawn, I wear steel-toed shoes, earmuffs, glasses, gloves, because that's what we do at Trail King. So I understand the safety aspect, and I promise everybody will adhere to it. So that's my story.
Oops, sorry, Bob,
Yeah.
you're done. I mean, to cut you off.
Go ahead, Mark.
Going to exactly what Bruce stated, and I was thinking that before even Bruce said it, about obviously we have changed our ordinance to legalize the shooting of fireworks on the 3rd and the 4th, basically giving a permit to everybody within around the lake, Mitchell, no doubt about it. We're not asking them all to put insurance or naming the city of Mitchell on all their insurance properties, but we let it go. It's no different than if we do a 15-minute approval or 2-day approval, I guess is what I'm looking at. I mean, any concerns that you're seeing? Where's the difference is what I'm asking from us approving this to us giving approval for 2 days for our citizens out there.
I think there is a difference between, giving just kind of a blanket exemption for everybody on the 3rd or 4th of July, as opposed to just one single event where you're approving activities just for one single event. I mean, there's no way that you could approve everybody's individual activities for the 4th of July or something. So it's more of a free-for-all situation. But at least the argument that somebody's going to try to make, if you approve this and something happens, is that you approved the permit, there was something in the plan that wasn't correct. So because you approved the permit, you guys were negligent. And, you know, I can't tell you how successful that argument's going to be, but I can tell you that's what they'll try to say.
Thank you, Bruce.
Okay.
Do you have anything else? Okay. Any other questions, comments?
Well, in my humble opinion, I don't see any difference between approving this. I think that we're looking at these applications. We'll look at them on a case-by-case basis. We're asking people to fill out a request, and Mr. Yakeley's done that. And in my opinion, I'm with Marty. I don't see that there's a big difference between allowing a special event and having fireworks at the lake, as opposed to having a free-for-all on the 4th of July and on the 3rd and 4th of July and having a lot of people do it. In fact, in my mind, it's probably more dangerous during that free-for-all couple of days. So I will move approval of the fireworks display that's been requested by Mr. Yakeley to take place at 170 North Harmon on what's the date?
September,
The 15th?
September 15th.
15th of September.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye. Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay, motion carried. Entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay, we are adjourned at 6:11.
Pastor Ted, Reunion Church. Let us pray. Our Father, we thank you for our city. We thank you for the manner in which things are managed and run on a daily basis and all the people behind the scenes. We think of our law enforcement, first responders. We pray that you would protect them on a daily basis and all that they have to deal with from day to day. And Father, we thank you for each person tonight that is giving of their time and their talent. And I pray that you do give special wisdom, because we know that you've established government and that you have asked us to submit ourselves to you. And so we're doing that tonight because, Father, we believe that you told us in your word that we are to pray that your kingdom come and that your will be done on earth as it is in heaven. And we pray that that would be so tonight. In Christ's name, amen.
Roll call, please.
Smith.
Here.
Tarts. Here. Allen.
Here.
Barrington.
Here.
McCardle.
Here.
Dosher.
Here.
Rice.
Here.
Sabers.
Here.
Approval of consent agenda items. Items appearing on the consent agenda may be removed by city council members for discussion at the beginning of the formal agenda items.
I guess I don't have anything to remove, but I want to make note of all of the what do I want to call it? All of the donations. I guess we have some for a speed sign, some for tennis courts. I thought there was something else. Yeah, that's the speed sign.
The fireworks cleanup.
And the fireworks cleanup. So just want to make sure those are pointed out. Those are all great citizen input and cooperation items that the city very much appreciates. And then the other question I have is that the couple change orders, does that close out those projects on Sanborn and the plaza, or is there maybe still something left on those two?
I'll let Kyle speak to the Sanborn project. As far as the Corn Palace Plaza, there is one remaining payment to SPN, and then that project is complete.
Okay.
Yes, sir. And there is one other change order on the handrail that is out on Sanborn, and then we'll look for actually accepting the project and release a retainage.
Okay. Thank you.
I'll point out that Jared Indahl is the new director for the Mitchell Main Street and Beyond, and he is being appointed to the Mitchell Historic Preservation Commission. He was happy to take that seat, empty seat, so I am appointing him to, or recommending his appointment to that board.
Stephanie, one other, the contingency request for 4,500, where does that leave us for 2018?
I can pull it up.
It's around 4,500, isn't that what that one is?
Sorry, I should have had that pulled up.
I think we're fine, but I just want to.
Yeah, we are. I'm just gonna. I might as well bring it up so you guys can see the whole amount. So the discussed items, the snow removal expenses, which that remains to be seen yet, those might not be necessary. And we had some insurance claims. We don't have all the costs on those yet. Yeah, there's still $352,000 after that $4,500 is added into there.
Okay.
I also am just showing that would be if you needed contingency for the utilities, which you guys will discuss later too, and there's actually budget left over in that budget. So 352 is on, or 339 is on the low end. It's going to be larger than that.
Entertain a motion.
I'll move approval of the consent agenda.
Second. Motion by Mr. Rice, second by Mr. Allen. Further discussion? Anybody in the audience wish to address this? All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Oh, I'm sorry. I'll catch on to that one of these days. Sorry. Roll call, please.
Sabers,
Aye, or yes.
Rice,
Aye.
Gosher, McCardle,
Aye.
Barrington,
Aye.
Allen,
Aye.
Sharps, Aye. Smith.
Aye. Motion carries. Citizens input. If you need to address the mayor and members of the city council on an item that is not on the agenda, excluding personnel items, please come forward to the podium, state your name and your concern. Presentations are to be limited to 3 minutes. Items will be considered, but no action will be taken at this time. Does anybody wish to address the council? I will take this moment to explain or point out that we are making some adjustments to the compost drop-off site. We're going to be adding cameras and signage so that it will be open from roughly 8 a.m. until sunset, so it'll give people in Mitchell more time to take their grass clippings and leaves to the compost site. So it's in the works. I think Mr. Roth got the camera up and the wire to it. We got to get it powered, and then we got some signage to put in and work with Mr. Overwig on getting it closed at night, and we should be on our way to having more time for people to drop off compost.
Will that be for commercial accounts too?
Do we allow that? It'll be whatever's allowed today will be able to drop off. Yes.
Very good.
Okay.
I've got one item. On Friday, I was able to present the key to the city to the director and writers of the movie Farmer of the Year, and it's a delightful show. It's here for the rest of the week. The Corn Palace looks good in it, and it's just a cute movie. If you have a chance to go, please do, and we hope maybe we can have the Corn Palace in more movies in the future.
Thanks for handling that, Judy. Anybody else wish to address the council? Okay, we'll move on to committee report.
Public safety met at 6 o'clock tonight. We had one agenda item. It was for a fireworks display permit at 170 North Harmon Drive on September 15th. After some discussion on insurance and other application items, there was a motion to approve and passed 4-0 on voice vote. Then we adjourned at 6:11.
Okay. Item 9, hearing and action on potential taxi cab license revocation for Speedy Taxi. I want to thank you all for attending tonight. I would ask for everyone's help in keeping this hearing brief and orderly. To begin, I would like to read a few rules and instructions for everyone to keep in mind while we're going through this tonight. In a few moments, I will begin calling up individuals to speak on this matter before us. We will start with those who would like Speedy Taxi Cab's general license revoked. We will try to hear as many individuals as we can, but I would like to limit your presentation to 5 minutes. And those giving redundant information will be asked to provide new information or return to the audience. After each speaker, Speedy Taxi will be given a short opportunity to ask questions directly related to that speaker's testimony. The cross-examination period is not a time to make arguments or accusations. To all who will be speaking tonight, after hearing from the individuals in favor of revocation, Speedy Taxi will be given the opportunity to give statements, present witnesses, and provide any other supplementary evidence it believes is relevant. This portion will also be time limited. After this portion, the council will make a motion as to how it would like to proceed. If a motion to revoke is proposed, Speedy Taxi will have an opportunity to make a closing statement prior to voting. To all who are speaking tonight, you will need to keep your presentations orderly and civil. If necessary, I may give you a warning on time or behavior. If I give you directions, you must follow them. Failure to do so may result in forfeiture of your time. If your failure to follow directions causes serious public inconvenience by impeding the progress of this meeting, you may be removed from the chambers and arrested for disorderly conduct. With that, we'll go to our first speaker on record. Brad Bowler, is he here?
Hi.
State your name, please.
Brad Robert.
Okay. Oh, I'm sorry, Volber. Okay.
And they dropped Jerry and Tom at Jerry's house. He told him to get the bike out of the cab. And they made T-Chunk upset and crying and everything and stuff. And it's like Jerry was told me about it, and it sounds like you need something to do something about it.
Thank you.
Stuff.
Okay. Anything further?
Nope.
Thank you. Speedy Taxi, do you have questions for him?
Yes, I wanted to ask when this allegation is from. Do I need to step up here?
Yeah, could you step up to the microphone?
Mr.
please?
Vober? Mr. Vober, come up here, please. Yeah, no. Come on up, ask your question. We need you both to be by the microphone.
Okay. I wanted to ask when this allegation.
State your name.
My name is Dustin Feisner, operator of Speedy Taxi.
Thank you.
I wanted to ask you when this allegation is from, sir.
From my brother Jerry.
Yes. Do you know the date when this allegation?
I don't know when this happened because it was so cold and it left him on cold.
Okay. Would it be closer to 3 months or a year? Do you know?
It was probably close to the winter time.
So close to a year ago?
Yeah, a year ago and stuff like that. It happened at front bowling alley. You guys pick him up. It took him out of his house and dropped off Tom. Told him to get the bike out. Tom Shamble.
Someone told him to get out, you said?
Yeah.
At the wrong address or the right address?
Wrong. Tom, it was the wrong address.
Okay. So the allegation is somebody took somebody to the wrong address and told them to get the blank out, you said?
Yep.
And that was back close to a year ago or when?
I don't know. Happened about almost winter time, almost Christmas time.
Okay, so 6 to 9 months or a year?
Yeah.
Okay. That's all I got.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You can sit down. Hi, chum. No.
On behalf of T-Chum, he was too scared to come tonight.
Okay. Kayla Hoback.
Hello, I'm Kayla Hoback. My incident was I had called for a ride. We had our overtime Christmas party, and he was to pick us up and take us to overtime. And he sat at overtime, and then he texted me, grow the blank up. Well, then the next night I was working at my other job at Sneakers, and I was outside, and the van shows up, and they roll the window down and said, "Oh, there's that blank from last night." That's my story.
Okay, hold on. Stay here. Stay here.
You said you received a text message that said grow the F up, you said?
Yeah.
Can you show that text message to the council or not?
I actually blocked it.
So you can't show it to them?
I can't.
So it's, okay, so you can't show it to them?
That's why it's hearsay,
And when
but
did
it
this
still
happen?
had happened. This
When
would
did this
have
happen?
happened, it was our Christmas party,
So,
sometime last year.
so 2017?
I believe so.
Okay. So a text message from 2017 that you can't show?
I blocked it.
And it said grow the F up?
Yep.
Somebody from Speedy Taxi?
Yep. And then the next night I was at my other job, and they pulled up and they're like yelled at me, "There's that blank from last night."
Can I ask if it happened close to a year ago, why now are you making a complaint?
Because this is when we can actually get together and do it.
You can file a complaint anytime you want, from my knowledge.
Well,
And this
we've
almost
been
a
trying
year
to
ago?
complain for a while, and
Okay.
so.
All right, that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you.
Excuse me, James Dinovic.
Any questions?
Yes.
Because ladies and gentlemen, excuse me, I was invited in here. Just for the record, I was a previous driver for.
State.
My name is James M. Deanovich, D-E-A-N.
Apologize for pronouncing it incorrectly.
O-V-I-C-H.
Okay.
And I was a former driver for Speedy Taxi. So it's better off if he just asked me questions, or if someone. We did have a problem with the pay, but on his behalf, he did pay me. In the final end, it took a little bit to do it, but he did pay me. So I have nothing against him personally. Supposedly, we've had all kinds of complaints. Now is the time I'd like to hear about the complaints. Sorry, but this is the only way we're going to get.
Thanks for showing up.
You.
On the, I guess the agenda, it says that I'm assuming it was written out by Lori Clausen or Ben Jorgensen. It states that you still have not gotten paid, which is false, right?
At this moment, yes.
Do I owe you $1? I don't owe you $1, do I, James, for your knowledge?
Are we excluding my jacket?
Okay.
And my other stuff?
Okay, jacket got misplaced?
Yeah.
Okay.
But as far as cash-wise, no. As far as threats, you want to address that?
I don't know what you're talking about, James.
Hold it. You're to give the testimony and address it.
I
you want to speak to.
I
he gets to cross-examine.
Okay, I apologize.
Okay.
I do. I apologize. I'm not a professional, so
That's fine.
We've had our issues, and my main issue is the threats and the trauma and all the havoc it caused in my home. I was accused of doing meth when I wasn't doing meth. At one time I did, but I'm clean, and I've been clean for a long time. I can pee to prove that. I have doctors to prove that.
What are the threats?
Well, we can read them. Like, he was going to, if I came up to him, he was going to,
okay, when you say read them, you have them on a text?
Oh, yeah. I got all kinds of
Please read them.
But
please read them.
All right. Let me get to you. One moment, please. Here we go. Here's one. This started one night when I was accused of doing something I didn't do. So, to start from the beginning, let this be another lesson why you shouldn't do meth. It costs you your job. My reply, what the blank ever. Let it go, dude. I would, after all the crap I found out about you. You should be the last MF to cast stones at anyone else. We'll go from when you decide what to do, whenever you're going to do. I hope you make the right choice. Bye-bye for now, my friend. Well, just so you know, you aren't getting a dime out of me. And if you ever approach me aggressively, I will whoop your ass so fast it wouldn't even know what happened. Okay, looks like you made your choice. Wrong one, but it was what you made. You can think you have a chance to kick mine, not mine, or you may think you have a chance to kick someone's ass, but not mine. Good luck with that. We'll be talking. Just so you know, I'm in fear for my life when it comes to you, because you got pissed and tried running me down with the van, and all the times you told me about how you would hurt me. The guy you told me I would get the same. Oh well, you have a nice day. Please stop driving by my house and threatening me. Bye-bye. See you soon, my friend. Bye-bye. Where did that hubcap go? Man, I told you I didn't even know it was gone until you said something. That's another reason apparently I was terminated, because there's a brand new hubcap that came off the van, and apparently it was my fault. Yeah, sure, James. Well, 200 work for you, use of the van in a week or two. You should be getting 40 or 50 hours a week now if you want. That is when he did pay me, so. Okay, we did have an agreement, but I decided not to go back to work with him. The reason I did not decide to go back to work for him, and again, this is hearsay because my wife's not here to back it up or show it. But for 2.5 hours, he was texting my wife, telling her how I was on meth, how I should be set up, how people are threatening to sue him because I am such a crazy driver. And I'm going too fast, and I'm stopping and going through stop signs, and so on and so on. Now, this is 2.5 hours this took place I knew nothing about, until he threatened my wife, and then he told my wife, well, you know what, I'm going to just set him up, and that'll take care of that.
That was your wife, though?
That was apparently that was a conversation between him and my wife. Okay. I cannot verify that. That's why I said it was hearsay, because I read it in her phone text, but I wasn't present when it was.
And she's not here tonight.
And she's not here right now. My mother-in-law is very sick and in an emergency room right now. So.
Do you have any other text you need to read? Is that all your threatening text?
Yeah, that's basically. I mean, and like I said, I mean, to me, it's not a threat. I mean, to me, I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen, but to me, it's a joke because whatever reason. My thing is it caused a lot of turmoil in my house because at one time, like I said, ladies and gentlemen, I did have a problem, a bad one, and I put my family through hell. Meaning my wife. It took me a lot of years to get my family back in order, my kids to graduate, my household in order, and for him to come in here and do this to me. I don't know how to express it except for I'm not in prison, thank God.
Okay, that's your 5 minutes. So.
Okay, sorry.
All right, now, Mr. Vice.
I have no questions.
Okay, thank you. You may sit down. Tyler Brinkman. He's not here either? Yep. Okay, thank you. Lori Clausen.
I don't even know really where to begin. I have way too many things to even discuss, but I will try to hit on the main things. One of the things about him saying he was going to set him up, Dusty paid a girl $1,000 to plant meth in my van, and she...
How do you know this?
She told me.
Is she here?
No.
Okay,
she's not, so I can't bring that up.
Nope.
But that all kind of rings with each other. His latest thing is we deal with a lot of the same people because I have a cab company as well. So we pick up and deal with a lot of the same people. He's made it plain and clear through our mutual customers that $10,000 in a phone call all disappear forever. He has harassed me and stalked me.
Hold it. Do you have proof of these things?
I have a proof of quite a few things, yes.
Bring the proof through. We don't want hearsay.
Okay.
Well, you have to have something you can prove, concrete.
Okay. Well, for one, he ran my driver off the road. There is a police report for that. Caused damage to my van. I have...
you filed a report on that, I'm assuming?
Yes, yes. Becky Handerhan that used to own Becky's vans, she's actually got some text messages she saved of him saying...
Is she here?
No.
You can't bring her up.
Okay. Well, a lot of the people, we actually had a petition going around. A lot of people wouldn't sign it because they're too scared of him, because he's known to be a bully and harass people and his customers. A lot of people that we had planned coming tonight decided not to come because they're scared of him, because he's been threatening them.
Yeah, but you understand we can't, I mean,
I know.
we can't take your word for this. We need them to, okay.
Yep.
All right.
Let's see what else. I can't think of anything right offhand.
Do you have threatening texts or anything you want to share with us?
I don't have them on my phone. I actually have them. I'm going to have to print them off because it's on an old phone that's not hooked up.
So you didn't bring them tonight?
No.
Okay. You have anything else you want to bring up?
No.
You want to ask her any questions?
Yes, I'd like to ask, who is this person that paid $1,000 to plant drugs in your van, you said?
Oh, that's hearsay, so
okay,
we can't do anything with it.
And also 3 people I allegedly offered $10,000 to take your life, you said?
I didn't say 3, but...
Okay,
yeah.
How many did you say, excuse me?
We don't have any proof of that either, so
okay.
You may as well let that go.
I guess I have no questions then. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Are there others that wish to speak to this? No? Okay, Mr. Feisner, you want to give your side of the story?
Yes, could I have the people that want to say things on my behalf start?
You may.
Okay.
If you know who they are, send them up. One at a time.
You want to start, Paul? Thank you.
State your name, please.
Paul Harrison. I've been in Mitchell about 14 years. Born in Hennepin County, Minnesota. Been here for going on and off 25 years as I traveled the Northwest states for distributor for Barnes & Nobles. And driving has been my life. And I have probably got equal time spent with both of these parties, and in basic conversation, I was not asked to come here. I volunteered to. I am an advocate for the truth and believe that right is right, fair is fair, and that if I could be of any help to resolve an issue that's as important as this is to me and many others in this town, which is a service in need, I would love to do that. And I've got about a year's acquaintance with this company and equal time with the previous company that is speaking on their behalf. So I would say that's pretty equal time. And when someone is consistent with me, and as many times as I have spent with both groups, and I'm not going to say anything negative, but time proves itself out to show through discernment what is right and what is not. If you have any kind of moral values at all. And in these days we live in, I feel that some of them are slipping a little bit, like telling the truth and lying, and that's really why I'm here, is I don't want to see any injustice performed against somebody that has proved themselves out to me for an entire year. I can't even keep count of how many times I have needed this man, and he has provided absolutely the best compassionate and empathetic service to me that I've had in the 14 years here. And anybody that can stand up on that high moral value of compassion and empathy for a year without fail, without swaying, there's something to be said for that. And that's the kind of people we need in Mitchell. Upstanding people that tell the truth and back it up by their actions. And that's been proven time and time and time again. And I have never waited more than 5 or 10 minutes, which is important to me and all the disabled people in this town. And in the previous days, I'm not going to name names, but I've been left 3 hours at Menards, 2 hours at Walmart, 1.5 hours at Coburn's, and I can't stand very long.
Okay, sir. Excuse me, that's your 5 minutes.
And that's enough. I'm done. I'm finished. I just wanted to say that's why I'm here, is to be a equal reference for both.
Thank you.
And I appreciate the time. Thank you.
You have another one? More people?
Yes.
Hi, my name is Karen Walker. I'm speaking for Dusty. He's a really good man. Really good. I've never, ever had one iota of a complaint for him. He's very respectful, very honest with me. If he's only got so much time, then he's going to tell me that's what I've got. He always arrives at my house a minute or two before the time he said he would be there. If he's going to be there 5 minutes, he'll be there in 2. If he says 10, he'll be there in 5. I've never seen him treat any of his other customers wrong. He always uses his manners the way a professional businessman should be. I was raised old school, and I will always be old school. You trust your customers with honesty, respect, and that's what I see from Dusty. And what I've seen out from other cab drivers is not very professional at all. Not one bit. I've seen, in fact, I was in the vehicle when one of Dusty's drivers was driving, which was Corey. We came to the stop sign. We were getting ready to turn. And one of Lori Lift's drivers decided to play a game of, here, I'm going to scare you. I'm going to try and hit you. But then he stops, shakes his finger, and starts smiling. Very unbecoming. That ruins that business's name. I haven't seen that from Corey or from Dusty, either one of them. And honestly, we need to have good businessmen in the community. If we don't, who's going to teach our younger ones to be professional? There'll be nobody. You have to teach the younger ones how to be respectful, how to be honest.
Okay.
That's what I've got.
Thank you. You have another one, Mr. Price?
Yeah, there should be 1 or 2 more.
Okay, bring them up. One at a time.
Hi, Crystal Larson. I've taken speedy taxis several times on different occasions. Never have I ever had a problem. He arrives on time, calls if he's running late. He's very kind and courteous to my children, patient, even jokes around with them. I've been in the cab several times where he picked up young to elderly people, also very respectful, very polite. So I don't have nothing bad, no complaints, no nothing against Speedy Taxi or their other drivers. That's all I have to say.
All right, thank you. Another one?
I believe that's it.
That's it? Okay, thank you. You want? Yes.
I missed the round. Can I speak on behalf of Lori?
No, we gave you your opportunity. I said,
You didn't call my name, though.
I didn't have your name, but I said anybody else wished to speak, and you didn't stand
I was out
up.
the hallway saying goodbye to James.
No. Yeah, you can't. You want to say a few words, Justin?
I don't have much to say at this point. I don't know if Dustin wants to make any kind of a statement himself. Otherwise, I'd open it up to the council for a motion.
Okay. Do you want to?
Yes, please. I just wanted to let you guys...
State your name.
Dustin Feisner.
Thank you.
I just wanted to let you guys know that I put everything I got into Speedy Taxi as an operator. I work 8 a.m. to 2 a.m. 7 days a week, and I've never put my customers in harm's way and never would, and I don't want to inconvenience them in any way whatsoever, you know. and never would, to be honest. These allegations coming from the other side are strictly competition-based and false. None of them are true, the allegations. Not a single one, in my opinion. And I just hope you guys see the truth, that I'm not the person they're portraying me to be, the other side. Thank you.
Yep. Thank you. Okay. You've heard the testimony, counsel.
And there's no way that we can allow the other speaker who wanted to speak that missed his opportunity to talk. Is there no way to allow that?
I guess that'd be up to the council if somebody wanted to grant that time.
I mean, it sounds to me like there were a couple of people who had intended to come and speak and were afraid, and maybe.
Well, we're assuming we're being told they were afraid. They didn't come for whatever reason.
They were on the list.
So I mean, that was their choice. And sure. When we read this, we said we were giving the opposition the first chance to speak, and we did that. And I guess it's up to you guys if you want to open it up to more testimony. Tell me what you want to do. But we gave the opportunity. We asked if there was anybody else in the audience, and nobody came forward. If it's an important issue, I would think you would stay in the room and be able to speak to it. So, up to you guys.
I don't have any problem.
This is the very first. I've been on the council for 12 years, and this is the very first time that we have gone through this. And thank you, Justin, for kind of holding our hand through this little issue. And we were probably going to make some mistakes, possibly.
That's
so I guess I am fine. Whatever, I don't know, Susan, where you're at, or anybody else. But if we got people in the room or here tonight, and that does give then Dusty the opportunity to the same rules that he gets to cross-examine, and maybe bring, if he would like to request, to bring somebody else.
You want me to allow him to
That's
speak?
where I'm at. I don't know where you guys are at.
Allow him to speak? Okay. Sir, come on up. State your name.
My name is Brent Jorgensen. I drive for Lori. You guys should have a police report in front of you. I'm the one that he tried driving off the road. After I left the Congo one night, I picked up 2 dancers. It upset him. When we were pulling out of the Congo, he got in front of me first, was going slow, putzing along, trying to upset me or put me behind. And so I went to go around him in the passing lane, and that's when he aggressively shoved me with his vehicle towards the ditch. It tore the heat shield off of the I think it's a catalytic converter underneath the vehicle. We have pictures of the damage that was done to the vehicle. The dancers insisted that I make a police report about it. An officer met us at Cubby's on Havens and Ullman. We made the report. Their testimony should be in there. Last couple weekends ago during Dakota Fest, I had picked up 5 people from the Holiday Inn Express, and Dusty was pulling out. When the guys got in, they told me that, they said that guy asked if we needed a ride, and we said, no, we got a ride coming. And he said, who's that? And he said, Lori's Lefts. And that Dusty said, good luck, they don't have any sober drivers. Dusty tells everybody that gets in his cab that we have drug issues, we're drinkers. It's just, it gets old after a while, and it's really hurtful towards business. I don't know if there's you guys got the report there. He was on an ankle monitor there for a while for stabbing his dad here a while back. I don't know if I wasn't the one that turned it in, but the guy's got issues.
Do you have any of the riders here to speak?
They didn't want to come.
You understand where we're coming from.
I understand that. T. Chum did file a police report. The chief and the assistant chief can vouch for that. He was too scared to come. He made up a story that he had to go visit his brother at the graveyard out here yesterday. because he thought the meeting was yesterday. I tried calling him to let him know that the meeting was today, and he would not answer his phone. But when I talked to him about it, when I took him to work the other day, he was just shaking, and you could tell he was making up stories. To be honest with you, in my opinion, in my honest opinion, I think he got a phone call from Dusty and was told not to show up. It's that simple.
We can't go with your
I know
opinion,
we can't, but
so,
that's just my
all right?
opinion.
I know,
But T-Tum did make a police report. We weren't able to get a copy of the police report, but the chief or the assistant chief can vouch that there was a police report made. That Dusty unbuckled his seatbelt, reached over, opened the door, and was trying to push him out to the point where the kid was bawling. He works out at Lake House. They contacted us and said they ripped up his punch card from Dusty.
Oh, without proof of that, I mean, don't keep going.
Well,
it's
in the police report.
All right. Well, we don't have that police report in front of us, so.
Right.
Okay.
Okay. But that's all I have.
Thank you.
You bet.
Yeah. Stay here. Stay here. Stay here.
Referring to the allegation of reckless driving, did you say that I took off slow when you approached me and I wouldn't let you pass?
That is correct.
Okay. How many times did you attempt to pass me? How many times?
Once.
You attempted once?
Dusty, when you pulled out of there, I was right behind you. You creeped out into the right lane, so I went to go around you, and that upset
you. Attempted to go around me, right?
Right,
okay,
in the left lane.
What happened then?
I picked up speed.
What happened when you attempted to go around me the first time? What happened?
You veered towards me.
Okay,
it's
then
in the report.
What did you do then? Did you back off or keep going?
I went into the ditch.
Okay.
That's when.
Okay, and then what? Did you attempt to pass again, or did you slow down or pull over and call law enforcement?
Does he have to holler?
I'm not.
I didn't.
So
don't think he's hollering, but
after being around
his voice did raise.
The first time, you thought you'd attempt it again instead of backing off and following somebody.
No, I was standing my ground trying to get away from you in the left passing lane.
Standing your ground in the ditch, according to you.
No, I got back onto the road, Dusty.
So you were in the ditch, according to you, right?
I did go into the ditch.
And then you attempted it again after all that danger?
No, you never got in front of me, Dusty.
I was in front of you, according to you.
No, you weren't.
Oh, okay. Then explain how this,
according to me.
Explain how this happened, if you don't mind. How this happened again, DJ?
How many times did you try running me off the road that night?
No, let's start from scratch.
Gentlemen, enough.
We were both at the Congo. You said I pulled out first slowly, right? Then how this happened?
Did the state's attorney press charges on you? Yes or no?
I'm questioning you right now.
Did the state's attorney press charges on you? Were you arrested the other day?
Hold it. Hey.
He was arrested the other day for it.
He might. There's charges pending. We have that.
Going to a jury.
Don't. It's not for you two to debate. Simple questions and simple answers.
Okay. What happened the first time when you attempted to pass me? What happened?
I went into the ditch because you veered like that towards me.
Okay. And then you recovered and got back on the road, right?
Right.
Were you still behind me or were you in front of me at that point?
I was still next to you.
Oh, next to me?
Yeah.
Was I in the left or right
Dusty,
lane?
we were right next to each other all the way to the slowway.
Was I in the left or right lane, PJ?
You were in the right lane.
I was in the right lane?
Yes.
And what ditch were you in?
The left lane. The ditch that separates the two highways.
So how would you be in the ditch in the medium if I was in my right lane?
You were in the right, and you were veering towards me towards the left. I was in the passenger.
You swerved in the ditch and recovered, and then you were behind me or side by side again. What's your story?
He's making this
Good
sound
enough.
confusing. This is ridiculous. We got pictures of the damage done to the vehicle.
Allegations.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Does anybody else wish to speak to this? Okay. Well,
Hi, I'm Michelle Zimmer, and I have a text to prove that me and my friend got a ride from the bar, and it was around 2:30, and let's see, I called Speedy Taxi. I said I'm outside, or he's like I'm outside, and then dropped us off, and that was around 2:02 when we got dropped off, and it said come for a drive later, and I did not respond. That's all I have.
so he texted that to you.
Right.
Okay. Do you have any questions for her?
Yes, please.
Okay.
have transferred you and your mom a speedy taxi, Rochelle? If you had to guess.
I have no idea.
Would it be fair to say over 10, probably?
Probably.
Has there ever been any type of problem inside the van? Any?
No, I just thought I found it weird that you texted me at 2:02 in the morning and said, drive later.
You have that text message?
I do actually,
okay.
yeah.
If you don't mind, I can look at it.
Yeah. I think that's Speedy Taxi's number.
Come forward right later.
I'm like shaking right now.
All right.
Okay, I guess that's what your phone shows.
I mean, I screenshot it, but it's...
Okay, I don't know why that would be sent from the Speedy Taxi phone for any reason.
It's the number.
It looks like the number, you're right. I have no idea why it was sent to you.
That's weird.
I've given you countless rides home when you're intoxicated beyond belief. Am I not right, Rochelle? Have I ever had to help you up to the door?
I don't know.
I've never helped you up to your door and saw
I don't know. I was intoxicated.
Okay. I have helped you at the door before. I've never been a threat to you. I'm not a threat to you. And so what are you saying, that I'm a threat to you?
I'm just saying that I thought it was creepy that you texted me.
Why don't you simply call me or say what do you mean if it's so creepy?
Why would you say come for a drive?
I don't believe that I did.
Hold it. Let's not. We're not.
Okay.
You two aren't debating here, okay? You're giving us information to make a decision.
Okay.
All right.
I have nothing further.
We don't want to listen to your debate.
Okay.
Right.
Okay?
I have nothing further.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Anybody else wish to speak? Okay. Discussion amongst the council, or is there a motion?
Justin, I guess the question I have is, what does the current ordinance say that allows for the operation of the taxi that the city has? What is that? What are the requirements or the items in that ordinance?
Well, I guess there's a number of requirements to apply. I guess we don't really have specific requirements for continuing operations. Or
Right, but that just apply for so somebody wants to say they want to operate a taxi.
There's an application that they have to fill out. It's mostly informational stuff in that application. Business address, name, the vehicles that are going to be used in the operation, that kind of stuff. There's some insurance requirements. And then I believe after the application's approved, there's some inspection requirements that they'd have to go through. And I think that pretty much covers the most of it.
Okay.
Not a whole lot of extensive regulation. As far as the revocation itself, basically the mayor or the council have the authority to do that.
I have a question for Lyndon. Lyndon, do you guys get many complaints on Speedy Taxi? I mean, I'm just curious.
Well, we do get a few, but I think we've had a couple reports made where somebody's actually filed an actual report.
So, Lyndon, you got in the packet here that we've got a police report, and we haven't had a chance to read through this, obviously, or tried to kind of read through it a little, but can you give us the status of...
He was arrested for reckless driving on that. It was a warrant issued by the Davidson County State's Attorney, but keep in mind, he was just arrested. He's not convicted, okay? It's pending in the court system now, and that's where it's at. There is not a conviction at this point.
Is that the only arrest, the one arrest? Is reckless driving, or is there...
Ever?
No, I mean it's pending.
Since he got a taxi license.
Right. As far as I know.
what do you want to say that you're not saying?
Yeah, I question your pause, Lyndon.
No, I just want to know if his criminal record. That's completely different than this. So he could speak to that.
Can we ask? What?
Sure, he can tell you. He would know. I don't have it pulled up in front of me, but you can ask him. I think pull him, have him come up to the podium.
Dusty, could you come up and talk to us about your criminal record, please?
I could actually print it out and give you guys a copy if you want. I mean, I don't know how to. I got misdemeanors on there, one felony that's going to be granted suspended position here shortly, and I mean, I can print it out and give it to you if you want. I mean, I don't know what else you guys want as far as that goes.
Can you tell us about the specific charges that the misdemeanors are for? And
I would say there's a couple simple assaults on there for bar altercations, no injuries involved. Disorderly conducts, 1 DUI in 2008. That's my only DUI conviction. Probably 2 traffic tickets my whole life. Hardly any movement violations. This is the only citing I've gotten since I started operating a taxi, this reckless driving charge, which I will be fighting it because it's a complete lie. So,
Dusty, how many vans do you guys run?
We have 2 right now.
You've got driver for the second?
Yes.
Also?
Yes.
Now, how many drivers do you employ?
Just one, really. I run all week by myself mainly and just have weekend help on occasion. And even some weekends I run by myself. It's mostly just me running. Yep.
And you can get insurance for all your...
Yes, the insurance is actually in my name, yes. Commercial insurance, yep.
So do you own the taxi service or your father?
My father owns it right now, yep.
Okay.
So you're an employee?
Yes.
What's our next step, Justin?
I guess the council's going to need to make a motion either to continue this matter or to revoke, or I guess to not revoke, some kind of action.
If it were to be continued, they could say reviewed in 3 months or something, though, right?
Right. Yep. That's certainly an option. You could do a review in 3 or 6 months, whatever the council feels is appropriate.
So that would be a probation?
Would it make sense to maybe time it till after the court has had an opportunity to end, or would you not recommend that?
I don't know that you could get a definite date for when that will happen, especially if he intends to go take the matter to a trial. It could be a lot longer than we're expecting. So if you want to continue it for 6 months, my guess is it will either be resolved or you'll have a pretty good idea of when that trial would be taking place.
And then if we do postpone it for 6 months, could there be another hearing, or if there's situations that don't happen during that 6 months, that's great. But if there is there an opportunity for people to come up and give more testimony?
Yeah, you can. You can certainly do that.
Continue the hearing.
Right. You can reopen it as much as you want if you want to take new information. If there are more people that were planning to attend tonight but did not come for whatever reason, and they wanted to come at that future date, if you wanted to allow that testimony, you sure could. One thing that Michelle just brought up is that there's renewals for license that take place in January, so that's probably something we'd want to take into consideration.
3 months. Jeff, I believe 3 months makes more sense than 6 months, only because some of these allegations are fairly serious and a lot can happen in 6 months. So
yeah,
I think
I wasn't leaning toward one way or the other.
I got you, but I'm thinking if the time frame is a 6 month or 3 month continuation, I'm more in favor of a shorter one.
And if you are looking to go that way, probably the second meeting in December might be the way to go, so you know what to do with the renewal.
And that renewal only takes one reading? Or just an approval?
Well, this is a first for us. Some interesting testimony, and while I hear things I don't like from a business perspective, the lack of some concrete information and the fact that there's still court proceedings going on some of this, I will make the motion to continue this until the second meeting in December, at which time we can renew this hearing and contemplate any other information that's available. Taxi service wars just seem beyond my normal comprehension as to how businesses would operate. I guess I didn't think that it's that cutthroat type of business to have these types of accusations, even though there are a couple text messages and other things that I guess are real information. And it just, I just, how do you tell people to behave? I don't know that that's the government's and city council's job, other than how we license the taxi cabs in this city. It's been brought up that we really don't license other businesses, and this came about in the past from safety purposes of people running taxis that really weren't safe to be on the road, and we got out of the approval of the driver standpoint because we don't give approval for any other business's employees, and so then we got out of doing that from the taxi service standpoint. But I guess I just ask people to behave and be nice to each other, and business is business. And with that, I guess I'll make that motion to continue that until December.
Second meeting in December?
Yes.
Okay. Is there a second?
Second.
You have a second by Mr. Allen. Further discussion?
So, just out of curiosity, did the people that spoke tonight, did they know in advance that they should be providing hard copies of the evidence that they were?
I believe they did they not?
Yeah, I think there was a reference to that in the notice of hearing, yeah. We asked them to provide those materials
they all
to the
received
finance office.
I guess I would just...
That's the publication, I think,
yeah,
that went out, so right there.
I would just say, you know...
You're right, Susan, maybe it wasn't totally clear
Yeah.
based on that, but...
And so, you know, I think that we have to be very careful in the position that we're sitting in here. We've got someone whose livelihood is at stake, and we can only take the evidence that's presented. So we have to take this very seriously, and we have to abide by these rules that have been set forth. And so I guess I would recommend that, if you're a person who has a genuine concern about this and something that you feel like is very valid, that there needs to be documentation or a witness or something that you can provide for us, because hearsay or anecdotal stories, it's not enough for us to be able to say, we're going to take your livelihood away from you. So, now that's been made clear, and in 3 months, when we do this again, if there are things that need to be brought forth, I hope that the people that need to be here and the evidence that needs to be seen will be here if that's the case. But I think as of today, I didn't feel like there was enough hard evidence for us to take a definitive action tonight, in my opinion.
Further discussion? Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. So it's continued till the second meeting in December. Thank you, everyone, for showing up. Item number 10, hearings on the application of Blarney Sports Bar and Grill for a special event liquor license located at the Highland Mall, November 30th, 2018 for holiday spirits. Entertain a motion.
Move to approve.
We have a motion by Mr. Allen, second by Mr. Rice. Further discussion? Anybody from the audience wish to address this one? All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried. On the application of Corn Palace Shrine Club for a special event liquor license located at the Masonic Temple on October 6, 2018 for a wedding.
Second.
Motion by Mrs. Jark, second by Mr. McCardle. Discussion? Anybody from the audience wish to address this one? All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried. On application of the Corn Palace Shrine Club for a special event liquor license located at the Masonic Lodge on September 8, 2018 for the NRA banquet.
Motion approved.
Second.
Motion by Mr. McCardle, second by Mr. Savers. Discussion? Anybody in the audience wish to address this one? All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried. On application of VV Inc. doing business as Outback Casino, 508 East Haven Street, Suite 2, Mitchell, South Dakota, for a new retail on-off sale malt beverage license. The license will not be eligible for video lottery.
Move to approve.
Motion by Mr. Allen. Second. Second by Mr. Rice. Discussion?
Is there not a license on that location now? I mean, it's a new one, but is there an operating license there now?
Hi, I'm Doug Asleson. I believe the question was if there wasn't a license there already. Yes, there is, but I'm in the next item up. What I have there is a liquor license, and I'm not using a liquor license for its purpose right now. I'm just selling beer and wine with it, and my intent is to sell the liquor license. So for the time being, I'm going to move the liquor license that's at the Outback Casino next door on top of a malt beverage license until I get it sold. In the meantime, I'll be able to sell wine also with that, besides just the beer with my malt beverage license. And what I'm doing is I'm putting a malt beverage license that cannot have video lottery with it, and I'm also putting a wine license that can have video lottery on the same location, so I can still function my casino the way it is now.
So you're just parking the liquor license there?
Correct.
You're not going to use it, you're just going to park it?
Well, I'm going to use it from the standpoint I'm going to be able to sell wine now in that casino.
Did that answer your question? Okay. Further discussion? Anybody from the audience wish to address this one? All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried. On the application to transfer retail on-sale liquor license RL 19079 from VV Inc. doing business as Outback Casino, 508 East Hanson Avenue, Mitchell, South Dakota, to VV Inc. doing business as Suds, 508 and 510 East Havens Avenue, Mitchell, South Dakota. Motion by Mr. Rice.
Second.
Second by Mr. McCardle. Discussion? Anybody from the audience wish to address this one? All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried. On application to transfer retail on-sale wine license RW 23600 from MG Oil Company, doing business as Village Bull, 1500 North Duff, Suite A, Mitchell, South Dakota, to VV Inc. doing business as Outback Casino, 508 East Havens Avenue, Suite 2, Mitchell, South Dakota. Motion to approve. Motion by Mr. Smith.
Second.
Second by Mr. Rice.
Discussion?
Doug, can you just clarify one more thing? So these all three of these motions that have just been approved, these licenses and transfers, they're all going to the Outback Casino. They're all going to be in one spot. Is that correct?
The second item on here is moving the liquor license from the Outback over to Suds. The other two are moving the beer license and the wine license to the Outback Casino.
Okay.
And they're right next to each other.
Clear as mud, right?
Yes.
One remains in. Oh,
Okay.
okay.
Anybody from the audience wish to address this one? All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried.
Thank you.
Item 11, Board of Adjustment. Entertain a motion for the City Council to recess and sit as the Board of Adjustment.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Allen. Second by Mr. Rice. Discussion? Anybody from the audience wish to? All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried. Action, set date for Board of Adjustment hearing 9/17/2018. Tammy Damon has applied for conditional use permit, home occupation, pheasant cleaning business at her home located at 412 North Foster Street, legally described as Lot 1, Block 1, Bridle Acres Edition, City of Mitchell, Davidson County, South Dakota. Property is zoned R2, Family Residential District.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Rice, second by Mrs. Charks. Further discussion? Discussion from the audience? All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried. Action to set the date for Board of Adjustment hearing 9/17/2018. Andrew and Kyra Mentel have applied for an oversized variance of 3,024 square feet versus 2,000 square feet is required in order to construct an accessory building at 719 West Norway, legally described as Lot 7, 8, and west 29 feet of 9, Block 43, University Edition, City of Mitchell, Davidson County, South Dakota. Property is zoned R2.
Set the date.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Allen, second by Mr. McCardle. Discussion? Anybody in the audience wish to address this one? All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Hearing on Carol Ragel, 815 McCabe Avenue. Application has been withdrawn. We don't need to take any motion on that one, do we? I don't think so.
No action
Been withdrawn,
necessary.
so. Okay. Item 15, hearing on Dan Fiechner and Aaron, Jessica, and Shirley Boz, 5600 and 5700 North Ullman Street. Dan Fiechner, the applicant, and Aaron, Jessica, and Shirley Boz, current owners, have requested a conditional use permit to construct an assembly hall on the property described as the east half of southeast quarter, EXIT 1, Perry Township, Township 104 North, Range 60 West, Davidson County, South Dakota, 5600, 5700 block in North Ullman Street. The property zone urban development.
I'm going to be speaking for Neil tonight on this property. A hearing was held for the planning and zoning. It was a 5-0 in favor of it. The only condition they did put on it that it must have city water to it. And the applicants are here if you would like to talk to them.
Is the city water condition a problem for the owners?
No. Not a problem.
Okay.
Have you had a chance to visit with the people who were in opposition to this? I'm sure you're aware that there were a couple of your neighbors out there that had some opposition. Have you had a chance to visit with them?
State your name.
Dan Feckner.
Thank you.
I have spoken with Mrs. Smith on the west side of the property. She was concerned of what the structure was going to be used for. She was more worried about being a hunting lodge, and we're not going to use it for that. So she was in agreement as soon as she heard that on her telephone call. So.
And the other one was Casey Fitzgerald?
He was at the committee meeting also. He was more worried about the trees to the north side, which are very nice, the trees. So once I explained I wanted to keep as many trees as I could on the property, he was okay with it as well.
So will you be the one that's operating the barn?
Yes.
And the bosses are?
This is a formality for contingency on purchase of the land.
Kyle, no problem getting water to them, city water?
No, we'll work with Dan on deciding where he wants to hook up for water. But there is water halfway down. I believe the paved roadway is at Industrial, and then there is water on Harmon as well. So we'll work with Dan on the connection.
The Guard's on city water, aren't they? National Guard there?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. No. Lot. But aren't they on lake water? You don't want to drink that.
I'm going to make a motion to approve. Second.
I have a motion by Mr. Allen, second by Mr. Barrington. Is that right? Okay. Further discussion? Anybody in the audience wish to address this? All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried. Reconvene as City Council. Entertain a motion for the Board of Adjustment to adjourn and the City Council to reconvene in regular session.
Motion to reconvene.
I have a motion by Mr. McCardle, second by Mr. Rice. You guys all sleeping already? Or what? Discussion? Anybody from the audience wish to address? All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried. Discussion on nuisance ordinance, Mitchell City Code Chapter 3. We were requested to put this on for discussion only. One thing Ms. Elwine did was she went to other cities and looked at what they have and what they do relative to city nuisance. Would you like to explain that?
Sure. I guess when the mayor and I were at the first class municipality meeting last Monday, this topic of conversation, or this topic was also discussed. I gotta pull it up, excuse me. And they were talking about what other cities are currently doing for nuisance. And so the mayor did ask, or I asked the mayor about sending out an email to other cities just to see how many are proactive versus, or how many are observational versus complaint driven. And largely what we heard back is most people are doing a hybrid of both. And we also heard that a majority of them also have some type of code enforcement officer. So Spearfish was primarily complaint driven, but that person also enforces fire code. We had Lead. They did both observational and complaint. Aberdeen was observational and complaint. Brandon is only complaint driven. Yankton does both, and they kind of focus on the entryways and the major streets throughout the city in the more visible areas. They felt that once they started doing that, people were much more apt to take care of their properties when they knew the city was looking in those areas. Brookings is both observational and complaint driven. Mobridge, that person splits their time doing 100 different things. Small town. They actually do nuisances, animal control, and zoning and building permits as well. But they do both violations and then complaint driven. In Del Rapids is also their building inspector, but they said theirs is complaint driven and also by observation. So that was just a comparison because that's one of the topics council has brought up at times.
So the city of Mitchell is complaint driven only? Is that how they
No,
or not?
We're not complaint driven only. And one thing I have in my meeting with the department heads the last two weeks or two times, I meet with them before every city council, the night we have a city council meeting, is I've mentioned to them that we need to be proactive as a city, not just code enforcement person, but any workers. If they see an issue, they need to address it and either let somebody know, the proper people know, and also copy both Ms. Elwine and myself so we know what's going on with it, as well as take care of it if you happen to be mowing the area and you see it or something like that.
So I've tried to hit home with the department heads that it's a team effort. We all need to do stuff, but we do have a code enforcement official, and we are putting on lettering on that truck that it will say code enforcement, so the city of Mitchell will know when code enforcement's in their area looking at things.
I think that's a good idea, because if you have a presence out there, you go by my yard and I got grass this tall, and I see the truck sitting in front of my house, I'm gonna have a good idea probably why you're sitting there. So I think that's a good idea.
I think so too. It puts some visibility to it so people know we're out there looking. I would also let councilmen know that if you see something, by all means, let us know so we can get it taken care of. Like I said, it's a team effort. Everybody in the city should be taking pride in our city and doing what we need to do to keep it a bright, shining star. Further discussion?
Yeah, and so this came up and I read through it all again, and I keep looking for items that are in here that the city might be negligent on that we need to make sure we watch out for. And the one that came up that I saw this time, or that hit me, was carcasses of animals and hides. So if there's a dead squirrel in the road, we have a city nuisance?
That'll be Marty.
Well, because I have a dead animal hide on city property.
And there again, I think if we got more than one set of eyes watching, and I understand what you're saying, Steve, and I've actually called in animals on roadkill because of the fact of you might as well just get it picked up as soon as possible, and in the past it's been very proactive in doing that. I get your point, Steve. Yeah, I know what you mean, but I think Bob really brings out a very good point too of the 100 or so of our employees. If they do see something, just don't ignore it. Just pass it on, because you can't see every inch of this city, and we've got people out there, with the street department, with the water department, and garbage. Just think of the eyes that they look and will be able to see. So I think maybe just a concerted effort from everybody, I think could help wait out and point these things out. So then when we do get comments, and I'll guarantee you every one of all 8 of us and Bob, we get very few complaints in Mitchell, but the complaint we get the most is we just got to pick up the nuisance as best we can, because nobody should have to live next to that. And I don't care if it's a rental or ownership, whatever the case may be. So I think if we just work together, we can definitely get there. And the one thing I can tell you, and I know we can't do every contact by this, but if you're able to stop and visit with somebody verbally versus the first contact is a letter, always seems to work a little bit better. And I know legally, Justin, I know that isn't always, but people seem to appreciate that if you're driving by or whatever, and you see, if you just knock at the door and let them know.
One thing Mr. Croce and I talked about was a friendly letter type approach to begin with. That
would help.
Rather than a certified letter immediately.
Yeah.
I agree. You should take a friendly approach, and if you can't get it taken care of, then proceed on. But
the next step?
I have had citizens call me and they wanted the phone number. Maybe that needs to get out there a little better. Maybe it's on some of them don't have access to the internet, some do. Maybe you stuff it in a bill. If you want a nuisance, you stuff it in the water bill. They got it all the time. Or put it on the. We just got a thing on garbage that you could use the landfill. Maybe put it in there so they got it.
That's a good idea.
Because I know when I was out campaigning this last go around that people wanted to see a presence of somebody out there, doing the job of cleaning up the city. I heard quite a few complaints on that just when I was out 3 months ago campaigning, that the citizens want to see somebody out there taking care of it. You know.
Okay. And we are working to try and get a more visible approach to it, as well as a friendly approach initially. Does anybody out in the audience want to address this discussion point?
I'm Randy Pratt. It's maybe not in the nuisance regulations right now, but it's animal control, breeding and feeding feral cats. In September, I think I had city trapping in my yard for 3 weeks unsuccessfully. And then at the end of that period, I had a friend over and he stepped out my door about 9 o'clock in the evening, and we looked around, there were 9 cats. Not on leashes, not accompanied by anyone, not in any one yard that anyone owns a cat. When I mow my lawn, I walk in cat crap and scrape my shoes when I'm done. And it's getting tiring.
Thank you. Any other comments?
Lyndon, we had I know it's a little stretch from the nuisance, but we had the position open for a while in animal control, but that's been filled.
It has, yep, and we will still trap feral cats, and we do. It's probably the most trapped animal in the city. There's a lot of them. People feed them. The cycle continues. It's tough to break it, but yeah, I understand what he's saying because we deal with it every day.
No firearms in the city.
And I will tell you, Mitchell Animal Rescue does have a program. They have a number of farmers waiting for feral cats. So they're not just getting put down when we catch them anymore. They are getting distributed out. So, but it's a cycle that keeps going.
Cats tend to be independent.
And I guess just one more thing to kind of hit on there is if you're aware of somebody who is feeding or keeping stray pets like that, let the police department know, because that's an independent violation of the animal control ordinances.
Specifically, what is the violation? Can you tell us?
Yeah, well, actually, the code section is pretty simple. It just says no person shall harbor or keep any stray animals. Animals known to be stray shall be reported to the pest control officer.
I wonder if everybody knows that.
I didn't until just now.
I know, that's
I'd be
what I'm
willing to
thinking.
bet not.
I think we're probably thinking of the same cat, right?
Oh no, it died. A natural death. Okay, any other discussion? All right, we'll move on to item 18. Action for award bid for rock salt city project 2018-27. Mr. Croce, you speaking to this one?
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor, Council. The bids were opened on August 27th at 1:30, and 3 bids were received. We recommend awarding bid to Nebraska Salt and Grain Company in the amount of $42,973.
Very close bids. So, I mean, you know, we have 2 out of Nebraska and 1 out of South Dakota, and boy, it's such a narrow little distance between the South Dakota. But I'll move approval of Nebraska Salt and Grain as the bidder.
Second. A motion by Mrs. Chark, second by Mr. McCardle. Further discussion?
Was that similar to last year's bid?
It's a slight increase, but they were competitively bid, and it's around the same price. Kept.
Very good.
Anybody from the audience wish to address this one? All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried. Item 19, action to release easement for 1601 Bridle Drive.
I guess I can touch on this a little bit. We got a request from a title company to release an easement in this area. Basically, it's location where there were 2 lots and the house is actually built on both of them. So the lot line actually runs through a portion of the house. So the easement, I think, actually runs through part of the garage. There wasn't ever anything placed in there that Public Works was aware of. No other utilities that we could find. So we worked a little bit with the title company and their attorney who drafted up the release. Basically what it will do is get rid of the up and down stretch that you can see on the screen. Well, that you could see on the screen. So the up and down stretch is the portion that actually runs through the home, and you'll actually maintain the south 5 foot that runs along the bottom. That will continue to remain. That's a drainage easement. I don't know if there's anything else in that either, but primarily drainage, I believe.
And this came up because there's a transaction at this residence?
You know, I think so, but I can't remember for sure. It's been a while since the request was made. There's been other ones in that area that have had the same issue, and this is what we've done with them.
This would be farther in. Further down, yeah.
I move that we release the easement for 1601 Bridal Drive.
Okay, we have a motion by Mr. Second by Mr. Rice. Discussion? Does anybody in the audience wish to address this one? All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried. Number 20, authorization to proceed with additional cost for Corn Palace Plaza Alley utility relocation. It was discovered that the original bids you guys received did not include some of the other utilities, were only the electrical service. So, Mr. Croce, are you going to answer this one?
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor and Council. So we went back to the other utilities that are also utilizing the double pole structures that are in the alleyway. So the costs are included in this agenda request for relocating the additional utilities, including Mitchell Telecom, Midco, and CenturyLink, and the costs associated with that are included in the request. Also, the city will do repairs. They'll actually do the removal of the existing concrete in the alleyway so that the companies can do the trenching. It'll be a joint trench for all the utilities, and then the city will work with the contractors to replace the concrete alley.
So will this make it so that all of those wires, all of the posts, everything is buried down that alleyway?
That's correct. It'll be from the south side of 5th Avenue under the roadway, and the entire alley will have the pole structures removed and all the utilities underground.
I cannot tell you how happy that will make me.
You don't like those South Dakota trees hanging up there?
I'm so excited.
Now, as the staff report stated, there is unspent budget funds left over in that same departmental budget from Sanborn that could be utilized, so you wouldn't have to use contingency for this. But we want to bring it to council just to have authorization about whether or not you want to continue to proceed with the project.
If we don't do this, you're going to end up with poles up there because the only people going underground will be Northwestern
Right.
Public Service.
It's whether you want to continue to have those poles buried or
Right.
not, which is the long-term utilization of the plaza concept or that area.
Yeah, and I guess I want to see it buried. Depending on the whatever future use of that area, does it limit us in the amount of utility service if these are buried, or is there still junction then across the street on 5th where this would be tied into from say we needed to triple our electrical service, and now it's buried and not overhead. It's not as easy to make those changes.
I think it would be different, but I think the power would be available. I think we would have junction boxes and
might have to do something else, but okay.
Yeah, you would end up having to take a wire back either way. The difference is it's buried, and if it's buried, you're going to have to put it underground anyway.
Okay.
Today they would probably bore it if you had something like that, 5 years down the road. But either way, you'd end up having to change the wire size if you're going to look much a larger load.
So this is where when I pulled up the contingency earlier and I had 61,000 on there, that would not be necessary because there is the budget that's left in that departmental budget that could make up the difference.
So if we took it from the Sanborn leftover money,
really we would just overspend the utility relocation budget by 61,000, but there's going to be 158 left in the Sanborn. So the bottom line, the departmental budget will,
departmental-wise,
it'll be okay, right? But still, because of it's being overspent, we just want to have council authorization in doing so.
Will that be done this year yet?
Yes, it's scheduled for next month.
Motion to approve.
Me too. I second it.
You think we were putting a bathroom out at Sandy Beach?
That's an enthusiastic second.
Well, motion by Mr. Barrington, a second by Mrs. Charks. Is there any further discussion on it? Anybody from the audience wish to address this one? All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried. Item 21, action on resolution number R 2018-48, a plat of Lot 8A, Block 7, Westwood First Edition, a subdivision of the Southwest Quarter, Section 16, Township 103 North, Range 60 West of the 5th Prime Meridian, City of Mitchell, Davidson County, South Dakota.
Once again, the hearing was held on this, and it was 5-0 approval.
Move to approve.
Second. Motion by Mr. Allen, second by Mr. McCardle. Discussion? Anybody from the audience wish to address this? All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried. Item 22, action on resolution number R 2018-49, a plat of the lot E of Countryside Edition, a subdivision of Lot 1 of the Southeast Quarter, Section 16, Township 102 North, Range 60 West of the 5th Prime Meridian, Davidson County, South Dakota.
This one also was 5-0 where the commission approved it. The only reason you're hearing it is because it's outside the city limits, but it's within the 3-mile zoning jurisdiction.
has the county acted on this one yet?
I don't believe so. I think it's coming up though.
Okay. Move to approve.
You want that contingent on county approval? Or don't you need? Okay, all right, okay. Just want to make sure. Motion by Mr. Rice. Second by Mrs. Chark. Further discussion? Anybody in the audience wish to address this one? All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried. 23, second reading and adoption of ordinance number O 2018-08, repealing and replacing MCC Section 8, 1 through 7, snow and ice removal.
Justin, anybody get back to you with any changes that they're recommending?
I didn't hear anything. I guess I was out on vacation last week, but I didn't have any messages waiting for me, and I didn't hear of anybody else receiving any comments either.
Okay. Well, I'm glad we're putting this to bed, and I appreciate everyone helping out on this. So I'm going to move to place on second reading.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Smith, second by Mr. Allen. Discussion? Anybody in the audience wish to address this one? Come on up, sir. State your name. You sat there so patiently through all this.
My name's Terry Cook, and I'm dealing with the cornerstone. Basically, snow and ice removal. Lauer is a problem. It's, we don't really get decent snow removal on Lowler. And basically down along our sidewalk on Lowler, the theater, all that area, it all kind of gets plowed right into us. And then everybody has to drive through a foot of snow. So just throwing that out, if we could get a little better job done there. And Third should be just as well maintained there as Main Street. Third and Lowler is a real poor spot for snow removal and ice. Now, I complained twice last year on snow removal at the city office here. And both times, of course, one was the big storm at the end. And what happened there, I hired a guy to come in with a skid loader, and he piled it up and cleaned us out really nice because we were closed for 2 days. So it cost us 2 days of business. And of course, that happened on a weekend. I kind of understand overtime, but there's some of that stuff there that could have been taken care of a lot better. But what happened after I had the guy clean it all up, the city came along, and of course they took the piles away, but they plowed it right back up on the sidewalk. And at that point, it was pure ice. It was darn near impossible for me to move that. And that shouldn't be happening on a street where there's businesses there. We haven't got any place else to pull it. And I had Tim Jones come by with his plow a number of times and just plow right back out in the street. And I know that's not right, but we should be treated just like Main Street in that area. I really believe that. And actually, that last time I kind of felt I complained that one time, and I thought probably the city did it on purpose to me. Might have got kicked back on. Because they were supposed to call me back, the lady over here said. And nobody ever contacted me at all. Nothing. So that's kind of how that goes. And then I'm just going to throw out one other thing. When we're talking sidewalks, we're losing our curb and gutter there. That's not very old. You need to go down there. I mean, there's potholes in there right at every joint on the side, on the curb, all the way down Lowler on that business street. And I stopped the city guy too and told him once, and I don't know what to do with it. I'd like to figure out a way to get it fixed because, like I say, they're nice big potholes now, and it's only going to get worse. Winter hits, so there's two things. But Lowler should be treated a little bit different than it's been being treated, because instead it's the trucks too that come by and that type of stuff. Maybe we could even say no parking there for overnight, even type of a deal. I don't know, but if that's part of it. But Third, there's no parking there either, and we get the same treatment on Third most of the time. It just gets plowed in, and how do you get rid of it? It's only one way. Get somebody with a snow plow, push it back out in the middle of the street. So that's what's happening. So I'll just throw that out on sidewalk stuff, and I appreciate the help if it can happen, because I'm getting too old. That's what it's all boiling down to.
Thank you. Isn't Lawler treated like District A or whatever we call it?
Sure, it should be.
I thought both Raleigh and, I thought one block each side got treated the same.
Some of Kimball is too.
Yeah, we'll have to look at it again. I know it's difficult, and going down Main Street again with the bump outs is going to be difficult.
This
but
will be
Lawler,
your first winter too, so good luck.
You're asking the Florida guy about snow.
All right. Yeah,
we will, and again, it's difficult. It's a difficult area you're talking about. There's really no distance between the curb and gutter and sidewalk. There's no boulevard in between, so the plows do have to move it somewhere. It would be up to the council if we stopped and actually loaded up and moved the snow out versus.
I thought we did.
Right, and
I know Main Street gets done that way. I thought one block each side was the same way.
I think that's true, but I'd have to look at it again on how much of Lawler is treated that way.
Please let us know. We'll look into it.
Per the ordinance, District A does include Lawler Street from the south side of Railroad Street to north side of 7th.
So it is.
So it's treated as District A.
So it should be treated the same as May.
Terry, I didn't understand about, I mean, what do you mean when you say we're losing our curb and gutter?
Yeah, that curb and gutter hasn't been in there that long. It's just deteriorating, like it was a poor mix of concrete. And it's actually that whole block.
From along Main, 3rd Street there, from Lawler to Main?
It's actually on Lawler.
Okay.
You start at 3rd and go down Lawler. On the
Towards
right
First?
side only.
North or what?
On the right side only.
West side?
Okay.
The west
East
side?
side of our building, basically.
Right,
The cornerstone is.
Yeah.
But it goes all the way down to the theater. And it's basically pert near every joint.
Can you look at that, Kyle?
Yes, sir. We'll look at that too.
Thank you.
So, thank you.
You know, in the past, we've done a sidewalk tour. At some point, kind of look at what we need to do. Maybe that would be something that we could put on the sidewalk list of places that we may need to repair. Before it gets dark. Before it gets dark. Yes.
You might be too late now. All right. Further discussion? Anybody else want to address this item from the audience? Okay. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried. Motion by Mr. Rice to adopt. Second by who? Mr. Barrington. Discussion? Anybody in the audience wish to address this item? To adopt? All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Oh, I'm sorry. It is roll call. Thank you. Roll call, please.
Barrington. Aye. Allen.
Aye.
Charts. Aye. Smith. Aye. Sabers. Aye. Rice. Aye. Dosher. McCardle.
Motion carries. Item 25, first reading on ordinance number 2018-09, 2019 annual appropriation ordinance.
Okay, included in your packet are several items pertaining to the hearing. This is your first reading with the second reading and adoption at the next meeting. I did make changes as has been discussed by council throughout the last budget sessions. Those items are all noted here at the end. Would you like me to at least go through briefly of the proposed budget overview that was included in your packet? Council? I guess maybe I'll just point out a couple things that are different from the previous presentation. Of course, our revenue and expenditures have been updated. Now we actually show all of the loan proceeds that are coming in from the SRF are showing in the revenue. So that's why that's going to look different from what you've seen in previous presentation. The final increase in transfer from general fund is noted, I believe, in here. Yes. We increased $300,948. I did have two errors in there, and I did do a printed copy. They were just typos with commas in the wrong spot, so you'll have those highlighted in front of you. Just looking, here's your overview. This would be new from the last presentation, showing you what the enterprise revenue is 2019 compared to 2018. The large increases in water and sewer are due to the financing methods being included in the revenue numbers for next year's budget. Before we were showing those as cash applied. Now that we have the financing information, we did plug those in as a known revenue stream. The rest of them are pretty flat from previous years. I did go ahead and show you all of the expenditure budgets within the general fund. As you can see, the major item that the city is spending or proposing that the 2019 budget go towards for general fund is the storm drainage. That's due to the East Central Drainage Project as well as the Sanborn Storm Sewer projects. Again, those have financing coming from SRF loans. Everything else there is just listed in budget order, which budgets were the highest down to the lowest. Transfers out, now that's the amount that we transfer to the various park and rec. We transfer to 911 as well as corn pellet. Yeah, thank you. Just trying to do that from. And I also showed just all of the other funds. So if you took the general fund operating budgets out, these are the rest of the budgets that the city manages. The two largest ones are infrastructure budgets, both wastewater collection and water distribution. Again, the majority of that expenditure budget is going towards Sanborn and East Central drainage. So that's their major projects for next year. And then you can see the rest of them as well. These would be enterprise funds and special revenue funds as well. This one I just put together to show council where the largest increases came out of. So if you took all of our expenditure funds and which ones had the largest increases, you can see general fund had a $6 million increase from last year to this year, and that's financing for those two major infrastructure projects that the city will be doing, as well as sewer and water. The other ones are just standard operating increases. Transfers out, this just shows you the transfers out. These are funds that come out of the general fund to support the other operational funds. The first one being to park, and you can see that increase, like I said before, is about $300,000. Corn pellets went down about half of where it was. Our goal was to get that self-supporting. When I started, I think we were doing $800,000 total, and that has, I think it was $500 from general fund, and so that's been reduced over the last 4.5 years now. And then transfers out to E911 is pretty much the same level as in last year's budget. This bar graph will show you how much is coming from each of the individual fund reserves to balance the next year's budget. As you can see, we're not using general fund, park, or sewer. Before I was talking about cash applied for general fund, but that's because we didn't have the financing plugged in for the SRF. So now that that financing shows in revenue, you no longer are showing the cash applied from reserves. So you can see very minimal amount coming out of golf course and corn pellets fund, and then it goes up from there. Community services fund, we have that conversation quite a bit, that this usually shows a higher level than what's actually needed to balance those budgets. The entertainment tax fund, that would be for the capital project that's planned, spending some of those reserves down. It's not for an operational expense. And then if you wanted to look at that in comparison to where we estimate the 2018 ending fund balance, it just shows that there's cash available to make those commitments. So in the sanitation fund, we're anticipating $437,000 from reserves, and there's $3.1 million sitting in that fund. That's for the capital, and I believe some debt service is what that fund balance is getting applied for. Again, community services looks like we're spending $477 and we're estimating $520, but we know that there will, we don't fully expend that budget, so it usually ends up higher than what that shows.
That's the one that gets grants too, that covers some of that.
Yeah, that's why. Because we end up getting grant funds that aren't anticipated, and Jessica has to show the entire expenditure budget in and not always anticipating the revenue to come back. I did show the entertainment tax funds. I think I might have had this on the last presentation as well. I did go ahead and decrease the revenue in the entertainment tax fund by $30,000 just to be closer to what last year's level was, because we continue to be below what last year's collections are.
Will we have September numbers before the 17th?
Yeah, I should have them this week.
Yeah, so we could look at that too and see how that, I don't see us.
See what we did in August?
Yep. I still don't think, even at last year's, this is just bringing it down to last year's level, and we're currently below last year's level. So it still may be optimistic to keep it at last year's level, but we'll see where that goes. And then the thing to point out too, CVB looks like it went up this year, but it really didn't, because we used to have it broke out between community marketing and CVB, and you can see this year it's all in CVB. That was based on the request that we received from that division. And then the subsidy applications, they show, I did have an error in here somewhere. Oh, it was the numbering was off, so I fixed this now to be correct. But you can see those levels are either at or below last year's level. There was no increases to that budget, to those budgets.
And health insurance was assumed at 10% increase, and
Correct.
we'll know in October?
Correct. And what we did is we also looked at what the claims, because we are a self-funded insurance plan, so we did look at what the claims year-to-date was, as well as what the premiums coming in, and then we looked at that as well as a 10% increase on those claims. And so the last 2 years we've been building that reserve fund a little bit because we did not have money in that fund. Based on the current proposal, if you see a 10% increase in rates, the fund just won't add any balance to that fund. We'll just maintain where we are now. But we won't know that till we get actually rate renewals back. And then as far as the capital improvement budget, this was revised because if you remember, we had some of the departmental budgets were wrong when they had those two project totals. So those have been corrected now to have the correct amounts listed. So we've got the phase 2 of Sanborn at $4.5 million. That would be an increase from what you've seen the last time, as well as the East Central Drainage Project at $4.2 million. And that's total. It's not broke out by fund in this area. So you can see that between Sanborn and East Central, that's obviously over half of your, 3/4 of your total capital for the year. And they're major projects, so that would make sense. The overlay projects that we discussed earlier, those are all included in the East Central Drainage Project, so that was switched to make sure that that was correct in this report as well. So everything you see in the overlay projects, those are included as part of the East Central Drainage Project. I got to get that somehow. Better remember in my head here. Clockwork stiff area is what I want to say, but no one else knows what that means. So, and the infrastructure would be replaced below the surfacing of that. So that makes sense that we're doing those. As far as the other infrastructure projects, the major ones are identified there. We did have a couple building improvements, the roof repair, as well as the building addition and remodel at the cemetery. And then the equipment listed should be after the changes that the council made at the last meeting. I've got those corrected now. And then the study issues have also been updated to reflect the council discussion through the last couple budget meetings. And then the third and main building demolition is still included as, I just noted it. It's not really a capital project, but it's a major expense. So I think it's important to note that you are paying for that next year because you're not really building a building, you're taking one down, but that cost is significant. Was there any other questions about information presented in the packet that I could go over, or anything else that you need reviewed prior to your next hearing?
Remind me again, Stephanie, the contingency that we are budgeting for 19, how did that compare to 18 again? It was a little bit higher, isn't it?
Yeah, and I don't, oh, you know what? Would it show on that one report? Do you have it there?
It's about 200.
Higher?
About 200,000.
Yeah.
Right. And then whatever money we do not spend in our contingency for 18, do we do a supplement to roll that into 19?
We don't need to do that. What we've typically done is when departments come to you about items that didn't get completed in 18 or 19, the first thing that I do is I want to look at what the total revenue collected was, and we make sure that any rollover projects that we're doing, that the cash was there to support it so that we're not going into reserves for those projects for next year. So we'll see where we end with how the end of the year is. Typically, there's still some unspent funds in the expenditure budget, so it's easy to do that, but we don't automatically roll anything over. Last year, council designated part of those unspent funds towards the 27th payroll. So you can consider action like that. You could consider designating to pay off some debt early. I know that's one Mel Olson, I think, used to say a lot. So that's just up to council to decide if you did have some, if you wanted to allocate it for an intended purpose. You could also say, can we roll $60,000 over and supplement it for next year for A, B, or C project? But we typically make sure that the 2018 operational budget is addressed first.
Yeah,
I think last year was the first time you actually got to have that conversation about paying, allocating some towards that 27th payroll, because previous years we had to allocate $250,000 to $300,000 due to that sales tax shortfall. This last year, or this year's budget, we made those cuts in revenue and expenditure, so you have a little bit more flexibility this year. If I was having to allocate $250,000 for a shortfall in sales tax, you'd be in the same position as last year. You'd have $100,000 left right now. So. I'm open for any questions that you may have.
I got to say thanks to Ms. Elwine for helping me. My head was spinning for 2 months. It's tough to walk into this job right at budget time. So. Yeah, who in the heck sets that up?
Motion placed on first reading.
Okay, we have a motion by Mr. Barrington, second by Mrs. Charks.
I'm just curious, do we have a toolcat in here? Is it under a different name? Did we take it out? Or what,
no.
Where are we at?
The direction that you guys took action on that, it's on the discussion items here. And the last motion to include it failed, or to do it on 2018 contingency. So it is not currently.
So did we learn any more in a couple weeks? Or just same old information? Or
We don't have any further information. We have. Nathan, you want to address that?
The lower quote, and then talk about whether there's any money in 2018 and that type of stuff, and maybe looking at Dakota Fest.
Yes, we did look. We're still looking in to see if there was anything lower, but 43,822 was the last number I gave you, and that's what we still have as the lowest, and that should be okay even if we buy it now or if we bought it in 2019.
So I guess I'm curious about the procedure of this, because I know that when we were talking about the budget initially as a finance committee, is that right? That was when we voted and it was a tie, and so it got thrown out. But when we adopt the budget, I was under the impression that we could put things back in, and then if there was a tie, then the mayor would have the opportunity to break that tie. Am I wrong about that? How does that work?
That's correct.
You can, yep.
So at what point?
We could do that the next meeting. We could do that the last meeting.
Okay.
You'd want to do it now, since you'd be going into second reading next time. State law requires you to bring it back for an extra meeting.
No, not with budget.
Not with budget?
No, budget specifically says you have a first and second reading and you make changes during that hearing. It proposed, so it's different than the rest of the ordinances.
So that we could make that change if we desired on second reading, or we could do it on first reading.
Even do it.
Or not even do it.
Voted down twice.
I would say
she's trying to get me to vote.
I would say if you're going to do it for staff's purposes, it's a lot easier for you to do it now, because we have to amend that ordinance before it gets published and into the paper. So it's easier for us to make those changes and have the time to get through that so we get it back to the paper.
Then could I make an alternative, an amendment to the motion, or how do you do that? I would like to amend.
Motion to amend.
Just a motion to add.
Well, but Marty made the original motion.
No, that's not on. It's a brand new action.
Okay.
You're all new.
So I'd like to change. I don't know.
You ought to
I want to
make
do
a
whatever I
motion.
need to do to add in the toolcat for 822 into the budget for 2019, please.
Just for everyone's purpose, this $1 million number right here, would just increase that by that dollar amount stated, which we would also then have to increase the transfer from general fund in that same amount. I would also want to know where you're decreasing, probably the contingency.
Or could we take it from this year's? Oh, we had a plan last time, didn't we have a plan? Were we going to take that?
We mentioned the possibility of doing it this year under contingency.
That's right.
By the end of the year, yes.
Yeah, and then they could find one maybe a little cheaper. Maybe they could go look for a demo. Maybe they can go look for somebody in town that has them. There's 2 local dealers on West 16 that do sell stuff similar to this. So have you checked with them, Nathan?
Yeah, we're waiting to get some information back to try to get it a little bit cheaper. But
So we're waiting for information, but you want to vote on something.
Well, she wants to put it in the budget because this is the first reading, so.
I would like to see us get this piece of equipment because, in my opinion, it seems to me like it's an important piece of equipment. I would like to see us get the best possible deal, and I agree that if we can find a demo, that'd be fabulous.
we'll have that information before we purchase it, and we'll get that to you.
And if we can spend less, then let's spend less than $43,822.
I'm wondering, for simplicity, if you want to do something similar to what was done for the utility vehicle and cemetery and golf, where you bring back and you can schedule it as an item for authorization for contingency funds out of 2018 for that vehicle, and then you can consider that, and then that way, if it goes or doesn't go,
it doesn't affect this one.
Yeah, it wouldn't affect this ordinance as is. And we can help get that put together.
I think right now we're looking at, we'd have plenty left for contingency from this year to do it.
I'm completely fine with that. What's that? I'm going to rescind my motion.
Okay. There you
Forget
go.
what
Motion's
I said.
gone. You happy?
I know, it's exhausting.
I just think it might be.
She's just trying to get your blood pressure up.
I just think it might be cleaner and easier that way. Okay. Yes.
Okay, do we have a plan now?
What I am hearing is that we will submit a request to council at the next meeting to authorization to spend from contingency funds in 2018. And that'll be, we'll schedule it for action, not just consent, so you guys have the discussion and action. Okay.
So do you want it on 2019, or are you okay with contingency?
I'm good with contingency.
Okay.
We'll see if it.
Hey, we're trying to take care of you, Marty.
Yeah. Nathan's gonna go out there. He's gonna find a better price. He's gonna talk to a few of the local people, and they'll just be amazed at how much money we're
You'd
gonna
think
save.
you want another bathroom at Sandy Beach. All right. Any further discussion on the first reading? Anybody from the audience want to address this item? Our audience seems to be thinning out quite a bit here. Yeah, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Oh, yeah, that one roll call. Okay. 26. First reading on ordinance number 2018-10 supplemental appropriations.
Okay, so this goes in line with what we were just talking about. We only do these supplemental appropriations. We'll do one at the beginning of the year for those projects that are unspent or that don't get finished in that calendar year, and we roll those to the next calendar year. These items that are proposed in the staff report would all be coming out of either designated cash in reserves for an intended purpose or from funds received from an outside source. So the first one is the EMS budget. The ambulance that was discussed with council, we had originally they were talking about a cost of $130,000. If you remember, that we got a cost estimate in at $110,000. That will come out of that designated reserves for future fire. Yep, there's all my explanation. The next one was the costs that were undertaken, and Linda would have to describe what all of these were, but this is what we have listed currently for the satellite fire station. That's the hangar that was converted to the unmanned station out by the airport. It was discussed by council in 2017 that we would be doing that out of that designated reserve in 2018. I'm just getting this done because supplemental appropriations are 2 hearings, and we try to hold on to those and do them all at once. The next one would be new. I may have discussed this at the last meeting, but the E911 dispatch had a piece of equipment that
broke, and so they're looking at doing a repair on that for $8,600. I'm saying instead of using general fund money to pay for that, I think we should take that out of 911 reserve funds, which have been collected by either the city or outside entities. And since it's a capital, I think it should come out of that fund and not just be paid for by general fund. The next item is the rec center utilities budget. This is just kind of a housekeeping item. When the construction project was happening at the pool, it was supposed to be set up under the city, and somehow or it was supposed to be set up under Pitts, and somehow they had it set up under us. And instead of going through the cost of switching it back to them and back to us again, we just tracked those bills every month. We billed it to Pitts finance office, held those checks till we were done with the project so we could supplement them all at once. So that would be the combined total. We can certainly answer questions. Lyndon would probably have to answer the question about the fire station or the dispatch council, but that, and the reason why these are broken into two, as well as the construction project down here, is that's just where the checks were written. At first they were written out of here before we realized, you know, what was going on there to do the reimbursement correctly.
I don't have any questions on the supplemental appropriations, but just curious to see how we're doing on the punch list.
They're down to about 2 pages from what I understand. We have a meeting Thursday with, I call him Miller Solid for MSH, Robin Miller. Is that, did he schedule that? Okay, 1 o'clock, all right.
Or,
So
excuse me, 3 o'clock. It's your office hours.
Okay, and then we'll be going over what was left on the punch list and what action we should be taking. Okay, versus what's available to us. So, okay.
Is that the final walkthrough or not?
Yes, no, yes. No, it's not the final walkthrough, but what it is, but it isn't. We're going to discuss what action we should take. You know, there's several options, but we'll listen to what the architect recommends and go from there. Okay. So I'll be able to tell you more at the end of the week. How's that? There's still items to be left. The Pitts Corporation had sent an email saying there's, I don't know, 6 or 9 items left, and the architect, when he finished, sent an email saying there's about 2 pages of items left. So there's a little discrepancy between the 2 parties. So
One meeting you're going to have.
all in the contract. I don't think it's going to be that hard. So, okay.
Move approval of first reading of supplemental appropriations.
Second. Motion by Mr. Rice, second by Mr. McCardle. Further discussion? Anybody in the audience wish to address this? All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried. That's the last item. We're adjourned.
Hey, Michelle, what's
2.5 hours. That's